So, despite often losing at this game because I put too much energy into building long roads, I love Settlers of Catan. There comes a point where after playing Catan at every social gathering you attend, the game just becomes a part of you, and for me that meant letting the game influence my home decor. I made this Settlers of Catan rug through a process called rug hooking, and you can too. One of the cool things about this game is you can create your own game maps, but I decided to model this rug after the base game layout to keep it recognizable. I ordered 4 pieces of this grid material to build off of, and I would not recommend purchasing this specific product if you try to make this project. You notice in the pictures they show these nice clean rectangles of fabric, but when I got them they had been cut unevenly as if the person was in a rush. I trimmed and stitched these 4 pieces together, but in hindsight, I would have saved myself a lot of time and effort just by going to a craft or fabric store and having the pieces measured out to what I needed. I started by drawing out a rough grid to decide how I wanted the pieces laid out and to see how few squares could be used while still looking the right shape. This was used to figure out how much yarn would be used to create each tile, and it also gave me something to reference later as I worked to track my progress. No game pieces or longest road, I just focused on creating the tiles, water, and sand to keep it simple. To cut the yarn, I cut a piece of cardboard to 2.5 inches and wrapped the yarn around it so when I cut, I got several pieces at the same length at once. This yarn here is just for demonstration, but you can see if your yarn is stretchy like this, don't wind it tight because it will make your pieces smaller than you intended. When you get enough yarn cut, you can start hooking it onto your backing. I used a latch hook to attach all the threads. It has this little piece that moves to help lock in the thread when your fingers can't reach into small places. You can look up videos on rug hooking to see more details about this. Using this metal grid to show, you wrap your thread around your hook and pull it through the backing material to knot it. That's pretty much it. It's not a very complicated project. The most difficult part is at the beginning, figuring out your layout and how much yarn you'll be needing, but once that's done, it's a slow process of hooking the thread to fill your map. I made this diagram to show how I went from left to right in rows, and then again along the other way to fill it in so it would be nice and plush. I had extra space at the end, so I added these stripes to the sides because initially I was focused on making this as big as possible, but I almost immediately realized how terrible this looked and cut them off so it focuses on the game board. It took me several months, and by the time I finished there was no way I was letting anyone step on this, so I hung it on the wall where I could appreciate it. I got a wooden dowel to stitch into it, which was a little too short, so I used part of a packing tube to complete the length, which is the black piece you see there. It worked for me, but I'd recommend just getting a rod that's the right size for you. I currently live in a rental, so I can't drill holes in the wall, so I hung this with 4 5-pound command hooks. I originally tried using 3, but I found it was too heavy and fell, so it seems this ended up weighing somewhere between 15 and 20 pounds. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and I would highly recommend it to anyone thinking of taking on this project.